So to hear more about all the great things being done in the Harrisburg, South Dakota School District, please help me welcome Travis Lape.
What if we thought about school differently? In Harrisburg, we use this phrase all the time, what if, and then what's next? Because we can dream about things, you're dreaming about things today, and those are the what ifs. But then it's the now step of what's next for us. And in Harrisburg, we're a suburb of Sioux Falls, which is the largest city in the state. But we are the fastest growing district in the state. We grow by about 350 learners every year. We build schools about every 2 years. We're 6 elementaries, 2 middle schools, and a high school right now. Come this fall, we will go to Bond to try to build our 7th elementary, and in addition onto the high school for a freshman academy. The whole hope here is that we can continue to believe that all learners can learn and that we can provide the best opportunity for our learners in Harrisburg. But we have to ask that question, what if? Think about this. In 2000, Blockbuster was approached by Netflix to purchase them for $50 million. Blockbuster looked at Netflix and said, no, you're a niche. You won't be around long, and we'll be fine without you. 2015, Netflix is worth $32.9 billion in the market evaluation. Blockbuster, 0. Think of the iPhone. The iPhone turned 10 years old this year. Think of what the first phone did compared to now what the phone can do. That's in a short 10 years. Our world is changing faster today than it ever has before, and it's changing in front of our learners, it's changing in front of our educators, and so we have to ask the question, what if? And so in Harrisburg, we've done that. In our elementary model, we've thought, what if? What if we thought about grade levels differently? Who said after 178 days in school, a second grader just miraculously becomes a third grader? And then they become a fourth grader. Even though we know as educators, we have learners in our classroom performing at a lower level than a third grade level, and we have learners in that third grade class performing higher than a third grade classroom. But the traditional model of education has put them all in the same classroom and said, you will all learn at this rate. Even though we know sitting here today, that's not true. So in our elementary structure, we've really thought about how do we build the 16 habits of mind to empower our learners to persist, strive for accuracy, think flexibly, find humor. How do we do that? Well, we do it by the foundation of the 16 habits of mind. That's how we've started to change the mindset in this idea that no one learner should be assigned a grade level. So in our elementary, what you would traditionally have as a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth grade classroom, we put those all together in a community, and we build a cohort of community of learners with them. We spend a lot of time building the foundation of those habits of mind and really focusing on the learning, taking the competition out of school so it's no longer how fast can I get this worksheet done, how fast can I get this done to do the iPad time, but now it's about the learner. And it's about each learner succeeding in their environment. So we're able to break down the walls because we have 4 learning studios with 4 learning facilitators. The learners move amongst their facilitators based on their needs, based on where they're at. Take this learner, for example. This learner is reading at a DRA of a 50, but struggles in math concepts at a 3rd grade level. In a traditional 3rd grade classroom, we wouldn't be worried about the reading skills of this learner. This learner wouldn't get one-on-one time or one-on small group time with the facilitator every day because in a traditional 3rd grade classroom, you have learners that are reading below grade level, so a level 8 or lower, all the way up to a 50. And our focus then is to get those learners that are below grade level to grade level. This young learner is already there. But in our environment, we can focus on this learner and say, what does this learner need, and how can we support this learner? But in math, this learner needs a little more time. This learner maybe needs some concepts that are number sense in 2nd grade, and we can support them there without them feeling like they're dumb because they're doing 2nd grade work. We blur the lines now because it's a community of learning, and I go to the learning facilitator that's going to provide me the best opportunity to learn. And we have to build that with our learners. It builds to our middle school structure where we empower our learners to drive their learning. But again, you can't do that without building structure for them with the 16 habits of mind and the foundation of learner agency. We have to build that capacity with our learners. Once we build it, then they can take control of it. And so in our middle school, they have the power to schedule their day. They come into an advisory classroom, and they have math, science, social studies, and English, and they decide what order they're going to go to based on their needs for the day, based on the offerings that the learning facilitators are offering. But this doesn't happen overnight. We have to rewire the learners, we have to change their mindsets, and we have to get them to understand, how do I learn and what's best for me? In the middle school, it is also a huge push for us to be global focused. Right now, a principal, a science teacher, and a few learners are overseas in Utila at the first National Plastics Convention. They have a passion for attacking the ocean's plastics issue. And if anybody remembers, like, we're sandwiched between you, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wyoming, Montana. There's no water for us, but our learners are passionate about it. And they wanted to find a cause, and they wanted to get behind something, and here it is. So voice and choice, empowering them to schedule their day, allowing them to prove their learning and show artifacts, leads to that global focus of how can we go change the world. That leads us to our high school structure, where it's all about then allowing the learners to find their passions, drive their learning, because who said Algebra 1 should take a full year of learning? So in our high school structure, the learners can pace ahead. They can finish a course faster than a year. But again, it's about the learning. It's not about the grade at the end. The learners must achieve a 3 to move on to the next grouping of standards. It's focused on the learning, not the grade. We have to empower them to drive their learning. That leads us to the end, where then it was all about career options. Because some learners will go into a 4-year, some will go into a 2-year, and some will go right out into the workforce. In Harrisburg, it is our goal to provide that opportunity so they know where they want to go, what do they want to do, and then experience it through an authentic internship that allows for that. This all happens through this tool. This tool comes from Ken Grover. It starts at the base, and it says the belief that all learners can learn. We have to start there. The belief that all learners can learn. Then, to truly personalize, we have to look at the instructional practices that Marzano and Hattie has really said have a large effect on learning. What are the instructional practices that do? And we got to make sure we stay true to that. Then we have to look at the structure, because the structure sometimes limits us that ability to really get to the heart of learning. So how do we change up the structure? Elementary, we broke down grade level walls. Middle school, we empower learners to drive their learning through a scheduling software. High school, it's the pace. So it's all about that structure. And then finally, it's the tool. And the tool, I didn't say technology, because technology might not be the best tool for the outcome that you're going for right then and there. Technology allows us a lot of great opportunities, but it's not the answer to truly personalize. We miss the boat if we do. And you've all been in schools where we try to fix a problem by buying an expensive piece of software. And then we get the software in our classrooms and you start teaching with it, and you realize very quickly it doesn't fit your structure. And then it doesn't fit the instructional practices. And now we spent a lot of money on an expensive tool when it doesn't meet the heart of learning. So we have to use that triangle in everything we do. And in Harrisburg, we run everything through that triangle to truly think about, are we making the right decision for our learners? Finally, you have to remember this. Learning is king, growth is queen, cool is the gesture. Do not be cool when you're doing innovation. We have to be king, and we have to have a queen. Innovation is not about doing the cool thing. It's about thinking about learning at the heart. And in Harrisburg, we're truly looking at those 16 habits of mind as our foundation in learning and driving it from there. Thank you.